Voici un okapi. Cet animal qui ressemble à la fois à un zèbre et à une girafe ne se trouve que dans le nord-est de la République démocratique du Congo. Il fait partie des espèces protégées dans le pays. Il est cependant menacé d'extinction à cause notamment du braconnage et de la perte de son habitat naturel dans la forêt d'Ituri. C'est ainsi que depuis plus de 30 ans, Okapi Conservation Project œuvre pour non seulement la protection de l'okapi, mais aussi des autres espèces dont la survie dépend largement de la forêt. Dans des conditions assez difficiles, ces hommes, ces femmes, se battent pour éduquer et sensibiliser la population locale sur la protection de l'okapi et l'autonomisation des habitants de la réserve. Julie Ilondongini et Sylvie Munanga, auteurs du livre pour enfants à la rencontre de l'Okapi, ont reçu Jean-Paul Monga, coordinateur chargé de l'éducation à Okapi Conservation Project, et Lucas Meyers, responsable des programmes à Okapi Conservation Project. Jean-Paul Monga, chargé de l'éducation à Okapi Conservation Project, nous parle des conditions de travail ainsi que des défis relevés par Okapi Conservation Project.
We work despite of the bad condition or the road condition. We work, but for now the biggest challenge we have is about this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, which doesn't allow us to implement many of our activities, mainly activities that involve meetings with communities with more than 20 people. So that is the main challenge we have for now. So we don't have to go to school to talk to people because we have some restrictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It means that another challenge is security situation, because we work according to the security situation. We have some regions where we have armed groups and militias, and sometimes it is not easy to go to such areas. So we just have to make sure that the area we are going to work in is safe, so that we go and work. So this is the other challenge we have, and we are in a region that includes the North Kivu region, Ituri region, which are full of armed groups for now, and even our colleagues who always go to purchase different project materials, sometimes travel in a very risky conditions. Sometimes we move back because we have the news that we have militias in which this area, and we come back. So we work in such condition, always work in condition. Yeah.
And how is it going so far? Do you think you have made progress educating people about the Okapi?
I can say yes. Since Okapi Conservation Project started in 1987, we can talk about different progress we made. For instance, in terms of conservation education, since Okapi Conservation Project took the education program in 1994, we organized a lot of school conferences with secondary school students. We also organized a lot of meetings with communities in different villages to talk about different, about the law on nature conservation, about hunting, sustainable hunting, and so on. And we also had seminars with different authorities in and around the Okapi Wildlife Reserve. But apart from that, in terms of agroforestry, because we have also an agroforestry program in our project, and OCP created that program since 2000, since the year 2000. And that program helped to maintain farmers in the secondary forest, because Okapi Wildlife Reserve is home to people. It is not a park. People live inside. So people need to make agriculture, sustainable agriculture. So that agroforestry program maintained the farmers in the secondary forest by combining sustainable agricultural techniques, such as combining crop food with nitrogen fixing trees, so that the farmers can grow on the same soil for several years and avoid to cut the primary forest and to limit deforestation. So this has really have a good impact on on maintaining the forest cover in the reserve. But apart from that, another progress is in terms of research on the Okapi in captivity. Because we had the zoo here in Epulu, but because of that zoo that was constructed by OCP since 1987, there were so many research that were made on the Okapi in captivity, about its behavior in captivity, about different leaves, different tree leaves that Okapi eats in the forest. That is, people have the knowledge thanks to the Okapi Conservation Project. And another progress was in terms of tourism. Before 1996, there were hundreds of tourists who came to Epulu to watch the Okapi at the zoo and really admire that species. And that created job even to pygmies who were used like porters, like guides in the forest. But it also created job to hotel and restaurant owners. But it also brought, it was like a source of income for the government's treasury. So that was really a good progress that was made because of OCP. And apart from that, if I talk about the indigenous pygmies culture, OCP has worked so much to promote and conserve the indigenous people, pygmies people culture. It means that OCP was organizing ceremonies, traditional dances, traditional hunting for tourists when they came to Epulu, when there was peace in the region. And apart from that, OCP helped pygmies to make traditional items they could sell to tourists here at the station. And apart from that, when we had okapis in the zoo, OCP employed 53 pygmies who were cutting leaves in the forest to bring to the okapis in the pen. And that work really empowered pygmies families. They were in good conditions because of that job. So that is what I can say about different progress OCP made here in the region.
We used to have Okapi at the station where we work in Epulu, but in 2012, in the major attack, they were all killed, and we have not had Okapi back at the station since. We hope that when security returns, we'll be able to bring Okapi back.
I was listening to an episode of that Julie recommended to me of Zoo Logic, where Mr. John Lucas was interviewed, and he had mentioned that I think there was a discrepancy between the children and the adults. If I remember correctly, I think it's more challenging to educate the adults on the Okapi. Is that accurate? Is that true? And in your personal experience with these programs, what have you found to be most challenging when it comes to educating the adult population about the Okapi as opposed to teaching children?
Adults have created with time and with the environment here in our country, linked with poverty and other factors. You can see that adults have created a kind of resistance, mainly to nature conservation, because we protect so many natural resources, and most of the people are poor in our country. So they think that is the best way they can go and dig gold, get such things which are not allowed by the law in our country. So most of people who don't have job, it's difficult to tell them to protect the Okapi and other natural resources. But for kids, it's easy because their minds, their spirit have not yet been spoiled. That is what I can say. So it is easier for us to train those little kids and go up with them. Maybe they can influence the adults in the future. That is what I think.
Take advantage of that childlike sense of wonder and inspire them to fall in love with Okapi, because adults, we have I feel like with adults, we're so focused on bringing in income for our families, making sure that our families are fed. There's so many other things to worry about. And if you're not inspired to protect the environment when you're younger, you're not going to grow up with that need and that want to protect the environment. So I think that's why it's harder to educate adults. With kids, they get excited about everything.
Yes.
Show them a picture of the coolest animal that they've never heard of. I mean, they're going to think it's really cool, and they're going to want to protect it.
I think that everybody, what we can do now is to, for instance, add the Okapi, the animal, in children's books, brochures, posters for schools. And that can be at an international level here in Congo and everywhere in the world, so that people can know much about this animal. That is, I think, the best way we can help to protect the Okapi. Because if people know about the Okapi, mainly children, then they grow up with that passion for the Okapi. We hope that in the future, people will protect the Okapi. In Congo, we celebrate World Okapi Day through secondary school boys and girls competition, race competition. We have organized race for secondary school boys and girls. And this is just a way to gather more people who can come and listen to the awareness message on the protection of the Okapi and its habitat. And we do that in different villages located in and around the reserve. So since 2018, OCP wanted to implicate more and more people. And that is why we also, we also implicated women since 2018, women's group since 2018. And since 2019, we also included pygmies in the celebration. This is another way to be global and implicate everybody in the celebration of the World Okapi Day.
I think it was last year it started to spread outside of the reserve. And there was one celebration in Kinshasa. Where else did World Okapi? It's October 18th is World Okapi Day. Every year on October 18th.
Yeah.
But it started to spread outside of the reserve, and there were several news stations around Congo picking up the celebrations for World Okapi Day. So we're hoping that it grows throughout the country and worldwide.
So Monga, do you know any of the story that they tell kids, like, those kind of myths or something like that just around the Okapi in the local community that you would like to share with us?
Yeah. Well, now, Manga, you have to talk about Nimbongo.
Another story I want to share is about a wild Okapi, which is coming in the village, in a farm just near the village, and it is eating beans leaves in the village. So just in a garden, let me say it's a garden just because it is just in the village. And the Okapi is always coming and people are going to watch it. And it is becoming familiar to humans' presence. So we don't know. Yeah, we don't know if it will, people can, OCP can just find out a way so that people can go and watch it there. And we don't know how we are going to make sure that it really becomes so familiar to people so that people can go and see. But it always comes. And we even set up camera traps in order to see if it is coming. And we always see the pictures and videos of the Okapi.
And you gave him a name.
Yeah.
a name, yeah, Nembongo, because it comes in the area called Nembongo. Yes.
Oh, Nembongo. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So is it a male or a female?
It's a male.
Nous ne pouvons pas oublier ces femmes qui se battent jour et nuit dans la réserve de l'Okapi.
I have 2 women. I can share the story with you about their contributions to Okapi Conservation Project.
Wonderful.
And the first woman is Rosemary Roof, who is the OCP director. I really respect her because she dedicated her life to come to Congo to work for the protection of the Okapi and its habitat. So she came to Congo with her husband since 1987 to start OCP.
Wow.
And despite her husband's death in an accident in 2002, she didn't give up. She kept up with her husband's job and accepted to work in very hard conditions, traveling on poor roads, risking her life in a region full of armed groups and militias. As such, she's very respected, strongly respected by all communities and even more Congolese authorities and even conservation organizations see her presence here in Epulu as a symbol of commitment, perseverance, assurance, and even credibility. That is what I can say about Rosemary. And I also have to share with you the history, the story about Karine Makonga. Karine Makonga is the second woman who works with OCP, and she works with OCP as an educator since 2014. So she's very active, working in charge of training a women group that we assist in Mambasa, and she's very active on the field. She accepts to travel long distances on motorbikes and on poor roads to sensitize communities in and around the reserve on the protection of the Okapi and its habitat. So that is what I can share about the 2 women I know in our project. What I can say to people who are watching this interview is that please donate for the protection of the Okapi, because the Okapi is a marvelous and amazing animal that is worth being protected, and it is only found in the wild in the DRC. So we need to protect it for the benefit of the present and the future generations. Nilipenda kuambia watu wote ambao wanatazama hii interview wakati kama hii ya kwamba tunapaswa kusaidia ama kupana msaada kwa ajili ya kulinda Okapi, kwa sababu Okapi ni nyama ambayo inapatikana tu katika nchi yetu ya Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo, na ni nyama ambayo iko nyama ya kushangaza sana, ambayo haipatikani nafasi zingine katika nchi zingine, na tunapaswa kuichunga kwa ajili ya faida ya sisi ambao tunaishi leo na hata watu ambao wataishi katika siku za nyuma. Nalingi ko tenga na batu nyonso oyo bazokolanda interview oyo tosala makasi biso nyonso tosunga mpona kobatela Okapi, mpona ntina ete Okapi eza nyama oyo ezwami kaka na mboka na biso Congo, ezwami na mboka mosusu te na mokili mobimba, ezwami kaka na mboka na biso ya Congo na kati ya Zamba, pe eza nyama oyo eza kokamwisa oyo Nzambe akeli kaka na mboka na biso. Yango tosengi na bato nyonso tobatela Okapi mpona intere ya biso bato toza kobika lelo na ata bato bakoya na bambula ya nsima mpe mpona intere na bango. Merci mingi.
Il revient à chacun d'entre nous d'agir pour le Congo, le bien-être de sa population ainsi que la protection de son environnement. Il s'agit ainsi de préparer l'avenir de notre chère patrie. It's all about Congo. Pour soutenir les différentes actions de Okapi Conservation Project, vous pouvez visiter leur site internet okapiconservation.org. Vous pouvez également acheter le livre à la rencontre de l'Okapi sur Naviprojects.net ou encore faire un don pour les enfants de la réserve de l'Okapi. Merci de nous avoir suivis. It's all about Congo.